Well, TV fans, after a successful run on Modern Family, he is dipping his toes into hosting duties of HGTV's newest version of Extreme Makeover Home Edition. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Jesse Tyler Ferguson. Thanks for sitting down with me. This show, as HGTV revives it, it's filled with so much energy and lots of joy, and I want to know what it is like when you first arrive on the scene and come out of the bus, and that feeling of there's just tons of people and volunteers there to help out. What is that first step of the process like?
First of all, thank you so much for having me to your beautiful studio. It feels like I'm at home. You feel very homey. You listen, I was a big fan of the first run of Extreme Makeover Home Edition that was hosted by Ty Pennington. So I, watched at home, and I got excited when he would, pop out of the bus and he would reveal the house to the families, and he'd knock on the doors, and it was a very exciting thing to watch as a viewer. So to then all of a sudden be put in that position to actually be the guy who gets to say move that bus was pretty amazing. I mean, it was an out of body experience, specifically the first few times I got to do it. But there is such a rush of goodwill that comes over you when you open the doors to that bus and walk out and greet the community that has gathered together on whatever football field or parking lot that you decided to gather in. Everyone is there for a very specific reason, to help this family that is so important to their community. And it's such a profound emotion to know that within a week you're going to be able to change a family's life forever. And it was a gift to be able to have a front row seat to that type of goodwill.
Yeah. And you're the person who really is the connection to these families. You're sort of our window into them. And a lot of them have really heartbreaking stories. They might be refugees, or their home could have been destroyed, or they've lost family members. So what is the most important thing to you in those initial conversations with these families?
Well, for me, I think my job was to extract that story. We certainly got an overview of what their situation was, why they were in need of a new home. That's sort of put it together in a video package, beautifully done by the producers. So a lot of the legwork was actually done. It's then my job to go in and sort of piece out different emotional threads, find out what they actually truly do need in a new home, find out if there are things in their home that mean something to them. A lot of these families that we were helping, they didn't necessarily want to see this home of theirs go away. They were emotionally connected to it. It was for some of them, it was their very first homes. They owned these properties, and it meant something to them. I mean, I remember, even my first apartments that I lived in New York, I have an emotional connection to them. So, finding a way to still honor that space that they have been able to refuge in and just make it better was a really important task. And it was sort of my job to figure out what they needed in their new home, and then also exceed their expectations.
And when I think of hosts on reality shows, people, depending on what the show is, they kind of fall into a different mode. They're going to be there as a moderator, or as a motivator, or as an entertainer. Do you see yourself falling into a certain mode or a certain role for this show?
It was definitely a lot of different hats that I put on. I mean, I was oh, now I'm Oprah Winfrey. Now I'm just extracting story from you. Now I'm Bob the Builder. I'm helping create a playroom for this family. It was, there were times that I was literally a cheerleader. You have to excite a whole group of people and get them ready to collectively tear down a house and rebuild. I mean, it was a lot of different hats. And I was curious myself to see how I was going to do with this job. I've been, doing scripted TV for 11 years. So to go out without a script and to just sort of wing it in the moment was something that was exciting for me. But also, it was an interesting task that I was sort of presented, because I'm not a carpenter, and no one was pretending that I was. And there was sort of a fun fish out of water element that we were playing with, of like me actually learning about some of this stuff and sort of being the stand-in for the viewer at home. Um, and it's that tricky balance of like some of these the stories were very emotional and letting that emotion come through, but at the same time bringing levity to the situation and bringing humor and a sense of grace, because at the end of the day you want to celebrate moving forward. And it was like all of those things were asked of me, and I sort of had to figure out how to filter them through with also no rehearsal. I mean, I the first family I got to surprise, it happened on a Monday afternoon, and that Sunday before I was finishing up doing a run of a play in Williamstown, Massachusetts, and got on a plane and literally right to the bus and surprised my first family, and was like really learning on the job. So it was intense, and it's something that really no one could prepare me for. It was sort of a leap of faith to see if I was the right person for this. I think I did a pretty good job. I think that's why I'm talking to you, because but it was a big challenge.
Yeah, I think it's a nice, especially because I'm an HGTV addict, and it's nice to have someone who is that fish out of water, that connection to the audience. When you have the Property Brothers and all these other folks around. So, were you ever looking for a reality series to do? Was that something on your radar at all?
No, I mean, as Modern Family was sort of winding down and I was expressing my other interests in life, like cooking being probably the most visible one, because I'm actually writing a cookbook right now. A lot of opportunities to like be a part of, reality TV and in those areas were sort of popping up, and none of it felt really right. I loved being a guest judge on So You Think You Can Dance, and I've been a guest judge on like RuPaul's Drag Race. So I have entered the reality world kind of from a one-off perspective. Like I got to sort of just like hop in for a day and sit in the seat for a little while. And it was always really fun, but I never saw myself as the face of a reality TV show. And I am, first and foremost, I'm an actor and I love acting, and I didn't want anything that was going to take me away from that career. But Extreme Makeover is just a different type of show. It's a different beast, and it's not a competition show, which I love competition shows, but I didn't think I was the right person to lead one of those. This is a show that just focuses on doing good for a family, and I felt like, even when this was offered to me over a year ago, I felt like the world was in a place where it needed more feel-good TV, and it needed these positive stories. And I thought, if I could help bring more viewers to HGTV, people who are fans of mine, if I can help reboot this already fantastic premise of Extreme Makeover Home Edition that was so successful for so many years on network television, if I can help bring that across the finish line, why would I not want to do that? And it ended up being one of the most profound experiences of my career. I mean, it was a gift to be able to meet those families and to get to know them over the course of the week, and not just on a surface level. I mean, I really got to meet those families, and it's interesting. I follow some of them on social media, and we send direct messages to one another, and they tell me about how they're enjoying their home. So it doesn't feel like just a thing we popped into and then forgot about them. It's like I'm checking in on them, and they are living in these houses that we helped build for them, and that's more important than a job for me. I mean, that's a lifelong thing that I'm going to carry with me.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. I have to think one of the most feel-good aspects of the whole process is when you finally get to show people into their new house. There's always I always think a reality show isn't going to make me cry, but then the Barobi family looking at the masks that represent their family on the wall, I'm like, okay, never mind, I'm crying at the reality show. So what is that like, the process of seeing someone's reaction to their new home? Can you describe what that is?
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to become a dad. So I'm thinking back to my Christmas mornings, when I was a kid, and how excited I was. And I now get to have that experience with my kid that I haven't met yet. And it felt like I got to give 10 Christmas mornings to people. And that's really, truly the best analogy I can think of, because I was so excited the night before to show this family this home, because I had gotten to know them, and I did know how much this new beginning was going to mean to them. It was the greatest joy. I mean, I wanted to run through the house faster than the producers wanted me to do it, because like I was just so excited to show them everything. But we had to sort of really draw it out, and it was sometimes torture for me. I'm like, can we show them the bedrooms? But it was a very, I mean, it was the best part of the job. I mean, it's why you work so hard that entire week, is so that you can get to that point where you're showing them around their new home. It was really impactful.
Well, I should also mention a little bit about Modern Family, because you just ended this hugely successful run with that show. And Cam and Mitchell end up moving to Missouri. The whole end of the series is kind of about moving on separately a little bit. Were you happy where your story ended up on that series?
I wanted to move to Hawaii. I'm not happy with it at all. Just in case there's a spinoff, like, wouldn't it be great to be in Hawaii? No, I was really, really happy with it. I knew that that's where they were going with the storyline. I am thrilled that Mitch and Cam were able to have another kid. That was really fantastic. I also, because I have baby fever right now, I was like, anytime we can have a baby on set, I'm in. It was it's so tricky, because there's a lot of pressure around ending a show that's been on the air for 11 years. And there are a lot of examples of it being done well, and a lot of examples of it not being done well. And, we obviously wanted to give our fans the send off that they deserved. I mean, they stuck with us for 11 years, and we wanted to make sure that they were happy with where we left them. And it feels impossible to get right. I think that we did the best possible version that we could do, and I'm really proud of the writers. I think that they really wrote a beautiful script. I mean, I just remember being at the table read and hearing the stage directions about the lights going out on each of the homes and then coming back on. We always keep the porch light on, and I just remember tears streaming down my face. And I think when something's that beautiful on the page, it's just going to be even better when we actually get to film it. So I was really proud of it, and to be able to experience watching the finale, while we were all sort of at a shelter-in-place situation. We're all quarantined together, and I was getting lovely messages from all my friends and family, and watching it with the fans who I think were watching it live with us. And it felt very important, and it sort of felt like a little bit of a tonic for that period of time that we were going through in those early days of quarantine.
Yeah. What you had 5 consecutive Emmy nominations for that role.
Lost all 5.
Well, you're still there.
I got the certificate.
Yeah. But it just seems like something that's so beloved by people. It resonated with audiences, with critics, with industry. And I'm just curious, because of that quarantine situation, what was kind of the goodbye process like for the show? And what will you sort of take with you?
Well, we were fortunate enough and we only shot 18 episodes in our last season, mostly because the writers were like, we can't do 22 again. It's too much. So we decided to do 18, and thank God, because if we had done 22, we wouldn't have had time to finish shooting all of them before things shut down. So it was like truly the gods smiling on us that we only did 18. But we had the last day of shooting was incredibly profound. So many tears. I cried in a way that I was not expecting to. It actually fully surprised me. I was like, what's happening to my body? And it was a really, really beautiful way to end the series together as a family on set. And our extended family of our writers and our crew and the people from production, they all sort of just like flooded onto the stage, and we had a really, really lovely day. It was hard and it was painful, but it was so meaningful. And we extended it. Usually we like to do a very quick work day and be home by 5, and none of us wanted that day to end. And we just really extended the shooting process, and then had a great wrap party the next night. And then we all kind of went our separate ways. And I went off to New York to start rehearsals on a play, which obviously had to be paused. And Sophia went off to be a host on America's Got Talent. And Eric went home to see his parents, and we all kind of dispersed. And like we would do every year during hiatus. But then we also got to come back together, on Zoom and different platforms to sort of celebrate the actual airing of the finale. And it felt strange to do that apart from one another, but I don't think we would have been doing it together anyways. We're always usually really busy in the summer. It sort of felt nice that we all knew that we were all at home in place and focused on ending this really profound, impactful 11 years together, from different places, but together.
Yeah. Well, before I let you go, I did want to ask you about that play on Broadway, because we're all very disappointed that everything is shut down for the time being. But I think it's such a great role for you in Take Me Out, which was the show you're going to do, which would have been actually finishing its run, I think, yesterday, but it was the actual end date of it. So it's been pushed back. Everything has been pushed back that long. Will we ever get to see you in this Take Me Out production?
Oh, my deepest desire is to do this role. It's a part that I was so excited to get offered. The offer came on the same day that I got offered Extreme Makeover Home Edition, which was, it sort of was the universe telling me, don't worry about your acting career. You can do this hosting job. Here's actually something we're offering you to assure you that you can still act and be a host of a reality TV show. But it's a part that means a lot to me. I saw the original run of the show in 2003, and Dennis O'Hare, who played the part that I am hopefully going to be playing very soon, left a huge imprint on my life, and that performance is something that's very vivid in my mind. So I'm honored and kind of flabbergasted that I've been trusted with that part. And as soon as it's safe for us to gather again and for us to be in theaters again, we're ready to go. I mean, the set's in the theater right now. I mean, that they had gotten that far along with putting the set into the theater, and then we had to sort of separate and go back home. But it's something that we're all really excited to get back to work on, and I'm staying in touch still with the entire cast, and we've done a few read-throughs of the play from our own homes on video, and it's been really nice to sort of have that and as something to look forward to when this is all done.
Yeah, well, we'll hope everything clears up and gets safe so we can see that very soon. And congrats on the end of Modern Family and on a great run in Extreme Home Makeover. And for everyone who's watching, make sure you subscribe to Gold Derby. Keep in touch with us through Emmy season. And Jesse, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thanks for having me.